Blessed be the reading of your word, Heavenly Father. Genesis chapter 16. Let's eat. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold, now the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray you, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, meaning, he went in unto her, and that's obvious what that means. And she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. So having children is a very important thing back in these times, and it still is. But back then it was a real reproach. A woman was looked at as very blessed when she had a multitude, when she had a bunch of children. And when she didn't have any children, it was a real problem, and she was looked down upon. So this Egyptian Hagar was looking at Sarah sideways because Sarai didn't have no children. All right, that's why I said her mistress was despised in her eyes in verse 5. And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon you. I have given my maid into your bosom, and when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judge between me and you. But Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, the maid is in your hand. Do to her as it pleases you. And when Sarai dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. And the angel of the Lord found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. Okay, now this is the angel of the Lord. Now an angel don't always mean an angel. Like, angel can also mean messenger. You know what I mean? Like, angels can be a messenger, an angel. But an angel in some contexts just means, a messenger. So sometimes this angel of the Lord might be Jesus Christ, but the word angel just means messenger, because he would be the messenger of the Lord because he's the word of the Lord, right? So he would speak messages on the Most High's behalf. He would also be the voice of the Lord because he's the word of the Lord. Remember, we talked about in Genesis 1. Remember, God said, we found out he was the word. He was manifested, he came forward and proceeded out of God, and then God started speaking through him to create the word. So the angel of the Lord in some of these contexts, man, it's Jesus Christ. It's Yahshua HaMashiach. And this may be one of them right here. Verse 8. And he said, so he's speaking to her, and he said like a messenger, and he said, Hagar, Sarah's maid, whence comest thou? Where are you coming from? And where will you go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarai. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Return to your mistress, and submit yourself under her hands. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply your seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, remember it kept on saying in the beginning in Genesis chapter 1, it kept saying, and God said. And now it's saying, the angel of the Lord said unto her, you know what I mean? So just peep out these little things that's happening, because what I'm also doing is showing you Jesus Christ in the Old Testament. Remember, he's hidden, but it's going to be clearer as we continue through the book who he is. I'm laying this foundation, preparing you for when we get to those spots. You're going to be like, oh, okay. All right, so here we go, verse 11. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, you are with child, and shall bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard your affliction. And Ishmael, our brother, is still in that land over there. They didn't get kicked out when we got kicked out. I know some of them. They call them Bedouins. Anyway, verse 12. And he will be a wild man, and his hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. And she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her, You, God, seest me. For she said, have I also here looked after him that sees me? So listen to what she said there. I'm going to read 13 again. And she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her. Right. And he said, then listen to what she said. Because remember, in verse 7, 9, 10, 11, they kept calling him the angel of the Lord, right? And then now she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her and said, you, God, sees me. For she said, have I also here looked after him that sees me? So she's calling this angel God. You know what I mean? Anyway, little tidbits, verse 14. Wherefore the well was called Ber-la-Hay-Roi. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. And Kadesh is in the south, of Israel. And Hagar bare Abram a son, and Abram called his name, which Hagar bare Ishmael. And Abram was 86 old when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram. So he was 80. One score is 20, so 80. So when he was 86, right?